It's time now for the Sports Objective Podcast. No talking heads, just guys who love sports. Here's Dave Richmond. I did. You're talking heads, just guys who love sports. Here's Dave Richmond. I did. You're talking heads, just guys who love.
I don't know. We're off to a great start here, guys. I have no idea.
Welcome into the Sports Objective Podcast.
I'm a great start here,
with.
I have no idea.
Oh, hey guys, what's up? Welcome into the Sports Objective Podcast.
I'm a great start here
with. Oh, hey guys, what's up? Welcome into the Sports Objective Podcast.
Wow. What in the world? Well, we got technical difficulties.
A lot of lag.
Hey, Dave, I think you need to sue StreamYard. Well, we got technical difficulties. All right. I got. Where's that feedback coming from, guys?
Right.
Hey, Coach Ruff, I promise you, we're normally a little more prepared and professional with this. We're having some technical problems.
Well, you know what? We were all smooth till Dave got on.
Yeah, we were. We were running right along.
Hey, no, Dave. Now we got everybody. We lost some.
We lost Bubba.
Well, yeah, Bubba.
We lost Bubba.
Bubba's hosting evidently got all. He was causing the feedback. Okay, so we'll go from here. Dave, go ahead, man. Wait a minute, we got Bubba coming back.
Hey, Bubba.
I was trying to close. I was closing it out to see if it would fix it.
Nope. It goes away when you the background goes away when you're not on the screen.
Yeah,
So it's coming from your end, Bubba. Nope. It goes away when you the background goes away when you're not on the screen. So it's coming from your end, Bubba.
All right, I'm going to close it out. Hey, if you're out there, we'll be right back. We apologize for the technical difficulties. We appreciate you tuning in.
All right.
I don't know if he's going to create a new.
Coach, how are you?
Hey, you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right.
Sorry about this, guys. I promise. Normally we're more prepared than this. Is the first time we've had.
You know what? Is that magic? That electricity?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's you. It's Ruffin coming in on. We've been waiting to have you on.
I tend to mess things up when it's trust me, it's normal.
So, Coach, you're back in North Carolina right now. How's your dad doing?
Well, you know what? With the COVID-19, it's quarantine at nursery homes, of course, but at the rehab center that he's located in Lumberton. But we have a chance to talk to him on the phone, and we FaceTime. So, but I'm not able to go see him. My brother, none of us ever go see him right now, but he seems to be in good health. The nurses are great. He's taught most of the nurses, and I went to school with most of the administrators. So he's taught most of the people that work in the rehab. They call him Mr. Mac. So right now, man, just staying steady.
Yeah, and that's a shame with COVID-19 that they got to keep the residents as safe as possible in the rehab facilities and nursing homes. But it's a shame people have to communicate electronically instead of being able to go visit. But it's kind of just where we are right now in society.
Well, it is. We have to adjust, and it's always better for me and all of us just to be on the safe side. And and there's different with age and all that, a little bit more vulnerable. So Arlene's heavy on us with masks and gloves, and all of us social distancing and all that. So, I'm not at fault. They're not at fault. I'm just happy to be close to him, even though I'm not with him right now. We live in Clayton, of course, but he's doing good and hanging in there.
So, Coach, before all this COVID-19 happened, you were back in the area. We're going to kind of work from now and go backwards, if you're all right with that.
Yeah.
You were going to take part in Coach Houston's camp for, I guess, high school coaches. Unfortunately, that didn't happen because of COVID-19. But obviously you had a previous relationship with Donnie K, and I'm sure you knew Shank. But what is your relationship like with the current East Carolina staff and Coach Houston?
Well, I've known Coach Houston just as long as he. I put it this way: Lenore Ryan days, James Madison days, and now at East Carolina. But with Shank on the staff, Donnie, Dale Steele being one of his administrators, Trip Weaver back with secondary position. It's a lot of guys that I work with. Then knowing Coach Houston, the way he's run programs and his programs have been successful. One of my ethos and our ethos of our family from my dad on has been earn, not given. And it was the same feeling for Lincoln. Lincoln earned his way up from student assistant to graduate assistant to full-time to OC to head coach. Coach Houston went the same route. So guys who went the same route know the ins and outs, not afraid to get their elbows and knees dirty, build programs the right way. He's not going to try to microwave it. I use that term back when I was there, and I think the Pirate fans will be very happy with Mike and the staff. I know they will. So I was looking forward to coming down and doing the clinic.
Yeah, we were looking forward to having your return to the practice field, Coach. You mentioned Lincoln, and something I always wondered. When you got the head coaching job at East Carolina, obviously you worked with Lincoln at Texas Tech on Mike's staff. How did you know that a 26, 27-year-old guy was going to be able to come in and be a successful offensive coordinator and do the things he has done in coaching? Did you know he was going to be as good as he is? I mean,
well, you know what? It's like recruiting kids. Everybody has their deal. I think everybody is pretty good at one thing. I think I've always been pretty good at picking the kids that maybe nobody thought could make it, or nobody thought this or that, but you can see the talent or the potential. And Lincoln, I mentioned earlier about how he came from and earned it from student assistant where you make zero, to graduate assistant where you make half of a zero, and then to full time. He earned it and didn't miss a beat. Worked hard. So that progression I saw, and then together at Texas Tech, and then those last few years, how things had it, we recruit together a lot. And then that very last season when I was named interim coach doing the Alamo Bowl, and I named Lincoln offensive coordinator that game, it was like magic. We connected. I love the way he carried himself. I love the way he handled his kids and players. So when the East Carolina position came open, when the Texas Tech job did not happen, all of us were scattered, really. I was going to Stanford to work for Coach Harwood, and Lincoln was going to Southern Miss to work for Coach Fedora at that time. And so when the job happened, Lincoln's the first one I wanted to call. First one I did call, and I knew that. And I've done some interviews about the Alamo Bowl game, guys, and it was when you're, as the head coach on his headphones, you have access to everyone. And that game that night against Michigan State, to hear him in his first opportunity in a highly publicized game, same time at Liberty Bowl, Skip's time at Liberty Bowl, East Carolina and Liberty Bowl playing in Liberty Bowl. If you could have heard how, and he does it now, how coordinated, smooth, well planned the offensive game plan was, it clicked. And besides getting to know him from the ground up, then seeing him in action. I mean, I'm talking about, there's trust, and then there's verification of trust. Trust and then verify. And I saw it. Then when the job came, I know a lot of people were worried about him. I was not. And not at all. And so I think the rest speaks for itself. And I'm happy for him. He's the only coach I left Bronco Mendenhall for, is to work with Lincoln. I had other offers. And then it was when this happened with Dad, it was hard to leave Lincoln, but my main purpose was making sure he got started the right way at Oklahoma. He's ahead of that, and I see great things for him to continuing out there.
Yeah, and always family first. Your dad's going to come before football.
Yeah.
And talking about, at Texas Tech and how it ended with the Alamo Bowl and you guys being scattered, you were going to Stanford, Lincoln was going to Southern Miss. If you can, talk about the process of Coach Holland hiring you and the interview process. And did you reach out to Terry or did Terry reach out to you? How did that happen that you got to come home?
No, I mean, it was a different thing. I mean, my first job interview, it didn't happen at Tech on a Saturday, Friday or Saturday. And the convention was that Sunday. So I went to the convention. My first interview was with Mississippi State, the defensive coordinator. And Coach Mullen was great. We had a great interview. I thought I had an opportunity to get that job. And then in between, Stanford called, Coach Harbaugh. And a lot of people think one way of him. I love Coach Harbaugh. And when I went out to visit with him, it was first, he drives a pickup truck, which that got my heart right there. I love a guy in a pickup. And we rode around the campus and the city, and we talked ball for about an hour and a half. That night, I met Richard Sherman, Luck, the quarterback. All those guys were in school, so they had a pretty good football team. And I just like the feeling. And then you go out and it's called the farm. So for me, again, come from North Carolina, man, you see a farm, animals and everything. I felt at home. And anyway, we clicked. So when I came back, I called Arlene, of course, the boss, and go, look, I love it out here. And I think it'd be great. And I love working with Coach Harbaugh. But coming back from that situation, I got stalled in, I think Albuquerque maybe. It may have been Houston. And Coach called. And, it was a tough situation at Texas Tech. And I thought we had that. And when Coach Holland called, I was real appreciative, but I didn't know if it was a serious offer. That's been mentioned in early interviews. And because I told him I had a job. So if he was serious, so we came up for an interview, and of course everything happened like it did. But got a chance to come back and coach at my alma mater and have a chance to get around family and around Pirate Nation again from a player now as a coach. So it worked out, and we had a great time. But that's the life of coaching, 39 seasons I've been through it. So. The life of it. We've moved. This is our 14th move coming here back to North Carolina as a family. So Arlene moved us around, taking care of us. We moved quite a bit. So, but had a great time. Glad to get back to Greenville, and I was happy to come back. And when Coach Holland offered the job, and knowing Coach Holland and his success as a coach and AD, it was it went great, and I thought it was a really good marriage.
No, yeah, Terry was great, and I mean,
Coach, we actually
go ahead, Dave.
Coach, we wanted to let you know we've got a lot of fans that are watching tonight, and we've got comments on the screen. We're going to pop up for you. We know how much you love to recognize people, so they're piling up. So we want to get some comments.
That's a good man right there. Now, the big C, the nose guard, one of the toughest players ever coached right there, and the buzzsaw and the leader. What's up, Z? My man. That was pretty cool, man.
We got another. We have your college roommate up here too. We're going to put up in just a second, but that's actually Heath. Heath doesn't have a Facebook account. His wife Beth does. It's actually Heath True Love, Coach.
Hey, what's
Heath,
up?
True Love.
Well, his boss, his better 3/4 has a Facebook. He doesn't. That's he's my education. He's smart.
And I know I saw a comment up there from your college roommate, a guy very well, Thomas McLaurin is up there too, out there. Yeah, and he said, "What's up, Tuffy?" So we can bring that up on the screen.
Oh yeah, Thomas was a local athlete. Grew up in the same proximity. What's up, T Mac? Pujak. That's Pujak.
He's from there. He is.
Yeah. It's good
Yeah,
to see
there you go.
Jack.
He's from Roseboro, right? Roseboro.
Yeah, good player, and got a chance to play together, win some games, but that's great to see that. I appreciate you guys doing that, and it's good to see Pirate Nation. That's pretty good.
Coach,
Yeah, we'll keep throughout the night. We'll keep.
Okay.
Coach, when you got the job here under Coach Highland, and you put your staff together, you hire Lincoln, you put the whole staff together, and you open up the season with Tulsa. You got Dominique Davis starting the quarterback, and you had Dwayne Harris out there, and that game was back and forth nonstop. But what are your memories of your first game as head coach and it ending on a Hail Mary victory? I mean, couldn't have been any better.
Well, you know what? It's pretty unique. I did an interview, I think, a little while back, and my first game as a head coach, interim, was Alamo Bowl, where we won. That was wow. And then my first opportunity at East Carolina, our first opportunity at East Carolina, was a last-second Hail Mary toss. You know, what a way to start it off, you know? And it was not great or fantastic or not enough descriptive words. It was awesome. And to do it at home, the first opportunity we had as a staff, we had to come in. I don't know if you guys remember, at that time, lost the most letterman of any school in the country. I think 35 guys from the previous championship teams had went to the league and or graduated. So being able to get Dominique and we still had John at running back, and then you had, of course, the grown man 17 at receiver with Dwayne.
Wow.
Gave us a great nucleus to start on offense, and Lincoln did a great job. And defensively, those guys did a good job coming together for us over there. And you know, it was, but that experience was fantastic. You know, it's a great start, and to do it at home, you couldn't ask for much better.
Yeah, no doubt. Got another comment on screen here.
Yeah, Coach. Benny Harwood, obviously John Harwood, who you know very well, that was student assistant coach. Benny's chiming in saying hello from down in Sunset Beach.
You know, tell them to stay safe, but go get in the water for me. Tell them to send some fresh seafood to us in Clayton.
Hey, Coach, I had a question too, by the way, that Kyle's too chicken to ask. He wanted to know if he can go out on timeout with you sometime.
Yeah, we have to talk about that a little bit. I don't know if hey, you know what? There's a charge on that.
I'm messing. He didn't say that.
I can't wait to become a river rat again. That's the one thing about the COVID that stopped me from the location of the house. Everything's not done by happenstance. We're located here in Clayton to be able to get to my dad and my wife's mom, Erlene's mom, and to time out is indefinite driving range for where I'm hitting. So I can't wait to get back on her and become a river rat again.
Coach, during this interview,
I did mess with Kyle there.
Coach, earlier, obviously we were talking about Lincoln, and prior to that, or shortly after that, you were talking about Bronco and having the opportunity to work for Coach Mendenhall up at UVA for that season. You obviously played for Pat Dye. You were on staff. I guess your first job down at Clemson with Danny Ford's staff, and you've coached Leach. I mean, you name it. I mean, you've worked for some tremendous coaches down through the years, all very successful, but very successful in their own way. So just talk about that, and just the different ways of skinning the cat, so to speak, and then how you cooked something from each of those and kind of molded it around your personality.
Well, my first coach was my dad, and that's why I learned the work ethic. There's no such thing as quitting. You don't quit. We're not going to quit. We're never out of the game. We never quit, and play every day in practice. My dad taught me everything you got, every snap, every play. And as a player, and that was one thing I wanted to make sure about, that was having a chance to play every play full speed. And I thought that was from my dad. And also he taught me balance. with coaching, and it helps with players and in coaching life. Coach Dye, you heard some of the guys come on. Coach Dye just left Coach Bear Bryant when he came to East Carolina. So we had grueling practices. Is that a kind enough word, grueling? And so, but the one thing I knew, we would be in the best condition, and we were going to be very tough as a unit. And the other thing that taught me uniquely was about the wishbone system, having to go against that every day defensively on offense, facing that, about having a multi-carrier. It'll tie into a minute with the offense. When you talk about Mike Leach, a multi-touching offense with the wishbone from Coach Dye, but also being in great condition and base everything on speed. So the next move was to Coach Ford at Clemson, where, of course, just left Coach Dye. Coach Dye coached Coach Ford at Alabama with Coach Bryant. So you can tell the Coach Bryant mentality was there from Coach Dye, then with Coach Ford, keeping it simple. And sometimes the hardest thing about keeping it simple is keeping it simple. And one thing in the early days at Clemson, we kept it very simple on offense and defense, let the kids play. Again, just to tie in with everything as you asked about learning, but Coach Ford was that, and get great players and good players who are tough and have great work ethic and keep it simple. I would say the next coach, man, I've been through so many. I would say Jeff Horton at Las Vegas, Coach Logan, of course, before then, and his innovativeness on offense. Coach Logan was a great chance for him that 1 year in '92 at East Carolina. And then the next stop I would say would be Jeff Horton at Las Vegas. Boy, I've had a chance to work with some good coaches. Jeff taught me this: reward those who produce, staff-wise. And I taught that. But then also I had Jerry Moore for seven years, who's a Hall of Fame coach at Appalachian State. Then you can skip a little bit to Pat Hill at Fresno, who built that time through recruiting and organization. And Pat was with Coach Belichick at Cleveland. So there was no work time. We started at 5 a.m. and I would get home at 2 a.m., 1 a.m. It was work ethic, just like Coach Belichick is now at New England. But I learned a lot on the pad about organization, details. And then Coach Leach is where the offensive part came. That always, in my mind, formed what defense I wanted to run, even or odd. But offensively, going back to the wishbone, an offense that I didn't know about, no one knew about, and nobody now was spreading the ball around through passing. I know the run and shoot was there for a little bit, but this offense was almost like fast break offense, which goes back to my dad coaching me in basketball. We full court press, fast break basketball the entire time. So I don't know if it's making sense, but all of it ties in to my thought process as a head coach and as an individual position coach as well, or a special teams coordinator, which I was. There you go. And
there you go.
A special teams coordinator, or eventually a defensive coordinator, a head coach. All those tied in from my dad, balance, and never all you got each snap, to Coach Dye. Man, excuse me, through all those staffs to get. And I always try to, coaches don't invent things, they just steal them from one another. And then I can't leave without that question. That's a great question. I was a P-jabber. I was at Clemson. I was an older GA, and we were at convention. We made no money. I had made absolutely zero money. I think it was like $400 a month for like 9 months a year as a GA. So we went to the bowl game. I saved money up and caught a train to New Orleans to the coaching convention. And San Francisco coach, Hall of Fame, passed away.
Coach Walsh?
Yeah, Coach Walsh, God almighty. I can be Coach Walsh. Coach Walsh and was speaking, and Eddie Robinson was speaking. And I'm a P-jabber. I know no one. I'm an ant. You know, it may be a gnat. So Coach Walsh finishes, and he comes out, and I just asked a question, Coach Walsh, just tell me one thing as a coach. I'm a young coach, Ruff McNeill, young coach, trying to learn anything about the business. Can you tell me one thing? He was in a hurry. He said, details. I go, I didn't care. He kept walking. I just wrote it down, details. Then Coach Robinson came out. He had spoke. And again, I couldn't afford to go into the convention at that time to speak, so I had to wait for him outside the meeting room.
Wow.
And he came out, and I said, Coach Robinson, I'm Ruff McNeill. I'm a new coach. I just finished GA at Clemson and get ready to start out. Tell me one thing that you think will be beneficial. And he stopped. That was the first thing. I go, he stopped for a P-jabber? An ant? Okay, yes. He says, special teams, son. Special teams. Never neglect special teams. I never forgot that. You know, that was 1985, 86. 86. And right now today, I say it just like Coach said it to me. This is 2020. So, so you meet a lot of coaches, you listen. You know, I just tell young coaches, God gave you 2 eyes and 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. He wanted you to listen and look and not talk so much. So I'm always a big listener and a looker at conventions and a listener and trying to learn. So long answer to that question.
No, that was great. That's exactly what we were looking for. One of those coaches you mentioned, Pat Hill, one of the things I always thought was very cool that Fresno State did was having that green V on the back of the helmet saying that they play for the people of the Valley. It's kind of like Eastern North Carolina and the Pirates playing for the people of the East.
There's no doubt. You know what? That's a great thought. And again, I'm not a Los Angeles guy, or Vegas was the biggest city we lived in. We lived outside, but Fresno sits in between San Francisco and Los Angeles, and it's called the Valley. And that's an area that they could grasp, and it was a group of people. And, man, he did a great job building that program with recruiting, and had a great method of recruiting. And Prop 48, that means kids that were not academically ready. He had a plan and a system set up so they could start and begin and graduate on time. Really had some good players there. And that V on the back is just like the rally point at East Carolina with Pirate Nation. It was, and this is ironic. I played in that stadium before I coached. And I was called some things that I've never been called for in my life, ever. And then to be coaching there and have somebody come in and coaching there and have somebody come in and turn this off. My daughter's texting me. Olivia, she's a second boss. But then to come to Pirate Nation, having played there, but then coming in to Hide It Grown. Early, y'all quit texting. And, sorry, but
no problem.
Nothing like
that's one thing about the COVID-19 coronavirus. We've done more Zoom and FaceTime because everybody's like to see there it is again. Okay, but but the V, your question about the Valley representing the same thing with Pirate Nation. Except Pirate Nation was revered around the nation. People hate it. After leaving East Carolina, I talked to a lot of opponents, and they hated coming to Greenville to play. Absolutely hated coming there to play. And that's a compliment to the environment, I think.
No doubt. Coach, we have several questions from some of our viewers here on Facebook Live and YouTube as well. Let's go to this first one from Sheridan Barnes.
Hey, what's up, Sheridan? What's up, team?
So it says Reggie's LB, Reggie's linebacker. What is his thoughts of former player Willie Smith, who went undrafted to the Redskins?
Great kid, great worker, great mentality, had talent. That's the thing about the NFL. Some first draft choices make it, some don't. Some latter draft choices make it and become stars. Where Tom Brady's the one to talk about the most, but there's more. There's free agents, and Willie was one of them. Great attitude, great work ethic, and of course on the field, it was no question about his talent as well.
All right.
All right, we're gonna roll through these. We got so many popping up, Coach. They love you.
Came from Mark Mullis. He says he'd be curious to know what your opinion is of Jalen Hurts in the NFL.
One of the smartest teams in the draft was the Philadelphia Eagles. I've been around a long time at Oklahoma, been around Baker, who is going to be successful at Cleveland. Don't let all the other stuff happening with Baker. Trust me on this. You guys are here and fans that are listening. Baker is going to be successful at Cleveland, no doubt. I was with him there. Tried to recruit him to East Carolina before that from Lake Travis High School, Lincoln and I both. And then the next year with Kyler, who's playing for the Phoenix Cardinals. Great quarterbacks and leaders. Jalen is the same particular thing. Imagine this. Jalen's the starting quarterback at Alabama, loses his job to another great player who got drafted earlier, Tua. Does not think about it. You guys know sports. Gave a grown man type response to it. There's childish responses, and grown man responses. The first thing people should know about him is after he lost his job, did not pout, could not pout. Yeah, it was hurt, but came back in. Not only had a great attitude, but helped win the championship, SEC championship. And after the year before, he was replaced by Tua. So when I knew Jalen through high school, because Jalen's dad's a football coach, and at Chattanooga High School in Houston, East Houston. Great coach. And so knowing Jalen and where he was going, we didn't know at the time. So I was in the school recruiting in Dallas, and I was in a high school, and they said, y'all just got Jalen Hurts there. I go, man, amazing. And great leader. His first week at Oklahoma, he had all receivers in the indoor tossing, throwing. Wow. First week, he got the combination, had balls throwing to him, and he led the team. And again, of course, 3 championships, all up, but we got the 3 playoffs. Didn't win the games in the playoffs, but making the playoffs is a big deal too as well. I think that's been talked about among commentators and everything. But we'll do well at Philadelphia. Great quarterback coach there. He does great wonders with the quarterbacks. Jalen's tough as nails, smart as a whip, and his attitude, how he handled one of the big situations at one of a major school, that should tell people a lot. And I thought Philadelphia was really one of the smartest football teams in the draft.
All right. Our next question is from Josh Thomas, a loyal Pirate fan. He says, how does Coach feel about the direction the Pirate program is headed under Coach Houston?
I think it's headed up. We talked about it earlier. I think Mike and the staff, they know how to win. Shank with O-line, DK heading up the offense, Donnie Kirkpatrick, great offensive mind. I've known DK all my coaching life. And so great coach, great coordinator. Dale Steele helping them with the administrative part. Chuck Weaver coming in. They got a great staff. They're recruiting well. And Mike's got a system. He has a plan. And it's not microwave plan. And just be patient. And you'll see just my prediction and my belief is that Mike's going to turn it around. And our fans will be happy. Pirate Nation will be happy. But Mike's going to do a great job. He's going to have the right people in there. He's going to have the right players in there. And he's going to do it the right way. They'll be tough, organized, just like his other teams were, Lenore Ryan and James Madison, those places. And I think Pirate Nation will be very happy with Coach Houston.
Yeah, so something else, about Coach Houston, he's got John Gilbert, and it makes your life a lot easier when the AD is working hand in hand with you.
Well, that's a big thing. I get asked a lot of tough questions, and they ask, what did I learn? Well, like after losing is only losing if you don't learn from it. So I've never lost a game. I may came up short, but I've learned from each opportunity. That's not something for us interviewing right now. And situations and experiences are only useful if you use them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the one thing that in all those 39 years, and one of the first questions of coaching that I was asked about the coaching stops, high expectations are great, and if they're met with high commitment. And I think Coach Gilbert is going to give Coach Houston exactly what he needs to be to meet expectations. So high expectations by everyone, administrative, fans, everyone, also must be met with the same height of commitment. That's throughout the program. You can't try to do it. You can't try to run around the middle. I know Mike, Coach Houston. I call him Mike because I know him. But Coach Houston, I do that formally because we're doing interviews. And Coach Gilbert, they'll do a great job. Oklahoma, I just left there, and there's high commitment. There's championships, great. There you don't win or get a ring for going to a bowl game. You only get a ring if you win a championship there at Oklahoma. So we got 3. But there was high expectations every game and high commitment by the administrative staff, which is very important for success. For success. And I think with Coach Gilbert, and I know Coach Houston, knowing they got to work together, partnership, they'll do a great job. And just tell Pirate Nation to stay faithful like they have been and get behind them.
Coach, Alan Powell chimes in, better known to most folks as Pirate Al. He says, miss you, Coach Ruff. How weird was it for you when your Pirate played the Red Raiders in the bowl game back in 2000 out in the Astrodome?
One of the weirdest games I've coached. I've coached some weird games. That was one. But when the first snap of the game, I knew we were in trouble at Texas Tech. With David at quarterback and the receivers and the plan they had, and they came in ready to play. Did a great job executing. It was a weird game. It was an iced-over game at that time. I remember that. It was 2000, I think, and it was Gallagher Bowl at Houston, and it was an iced-over game. I think the airport got iced over, so at Texas Tech, we couldn't get any fans down. East Carolina came in ready to go. I think I knew our kids took it for granted. That was our first bowl game, their first bowl game in years at Texas Tech at that time. So they came in, did a great job, and the weird thing was just watching a team that I played for and got my degree from. Terma beat me. Beat me fair and square. What is close?
All right, Coach. Johnny Gardner would like to know what are some games, moments from your time with the Pirates, whether it was your playing career or your coaching career with the Pirates that really stand out.
I think that first year, having a chance to play on special teams as a true freshman and be a part of the just being a part of it and being a part of a major college football program. The next year as a starter, my first sophomore year, we all were young. Leander Greens and Billy Washingtons and Theodore Suttons and AC, all these young guys. Eddie Hicks was playing. I mean, I can't name all of them. Terry Gallagher. There were so many young people. Zach Valentine, all these guys on that team. We played state the first game, and Johnny Evans threw for like maybe 1,000 yards on us in one game. I think that was the record. It may have been 1,000. It may have been 2,000 in that game. And I was able to. We thought we'd won the game on the last second play, and we were leading 26-23. I think I can't remember. I think that was the score. And we thought we had won. They called us back on the field, and I had to make a play. I think it was on 2-yard line to help win the game. As a player, to help my team win, help our team win was a big moment. Leaving Dowdy Ficklin, there's a picture someone sent. The last game at Dowdy Ficklin, my last game as a senior, was very memorable. We won the game, and man, that was a sad moment and a glad moment. but we knew Coach Dow was leaving, so it made it even sadder. Had a possibility of leaving. As a coach, the first game, like we mentioned, with Shane in that group and all that group winning the bowl game down in Florida was a big win and accomplishment, I thought. There were other big games we had at home, of course, versus North Carolina State and UNC and Virginia Tech. Those are great wins, stand out, So, man, I was just blessed to be around that and be a part of a small part.
Yeah, your record, your record against the ACC was incredible. You had the 5 straight against the ACC, including beating Virginia Tech just a couple months before they decided to let you go. What did it mean more to you? Every win's precious, but did it mean more to you to beat those in-state and regional rivals, the so-called bigger schools?
Well, I think, and I learned this again. Go back to my first question. The first question, as a coach, wins are hard. All wins are hard. Try losing them. When you lose, losing is worse. This is Frank Kush, coach of Arizona State. He said losing is worse than death because you have to live with it. So all wins are magnificent. Of course, those were 2 in-state institutions that have great tradition, and then Virginia Tech with Coach. I've seen Coach Beamer a lot of times since then too, with his son Shane, coaches at Oklahoma. So I would see Coach Beamer a lot, and we always have been close, and those guys have really been close, and so it was just great and have an opportunity to be a part of it, a small part with the great staff and the great players we had, and I'm happy that the Pirate Nation, the Pirate fans could have bragging rights the times we were able to give it to them.
All right, Coach. James Smith, one of Kyle's good friends. He's a diehard Southern Miss fan. He said, as a Southern Miss fan, I just want to tell you how much I respect you as a coach. Your teams were always well coached, prepared, and first class.
Oh, man. James, I appreciate that. I have a lot of respect for Southern Miss. As a player, we had to play them each year. Again, we got spanked by them down there in Southern Miss, and having to play them as a coach at East Carolina was always tough, and I appreciate that. That's a compliment again to the players and to the staff. I'll just again have to be around them and be a part of it. But that's a great compliment. Thank you so much.
You have to have the highest winning percentage as a head coach against Southern Miss. You went 3-1 against the Golden Eagles.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yep.
But that they were always tough, especially down there. Golly, they were tough. And then we faced them one time in Greenville. They were tough. They had a couple of NFL starters on that team. We played them, and they got us there that one time. Might have been Larry's last year at Southern Miss. He had a really good team, but yeah, they always play tough.
Coach, I'll never forget your first year. I guess it was about game 4, maybe game 4, game 5. We were down in Hattiesburg and got in a 21-0 hole right off the bat. But we came back and won that ball game in a shootout. And do you recall that kickoff return that Jonathan Williams had for a touchdown? And I think it was Dwayne Harris, and then another one or two had some absolutely unbelievable.
Good God.
Yeah, they'd be suspended right now for those blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. It was, again, like James brought up, always tough battles. Always had good athletes, always tough, well coached. And we got down. We got behind. And the kickoff return, it was a reverse. And Jonathan got it up the sideline. And a lot of times that lines you up for now, which is illegal blindside blocks. And we got a few on that one play. Some ear hole blocks, so they call them. And now they'd be suspended right now in the next game. But that year, of course, it wasn't there. But, man, that was a big time play. Big block, great blocking, great return, and gave us momentum down there away from home.
Hey, Coach, some guy named Will Smith chimes in. He said, I'm joking. Willie Smith, like we were talking about him earlier, he chimes in saying, what's going on, Coach Ruff?
Hey, Willie, good to see you, man. We still got those knives you sold us. They sold some knives one time. That was but good. Thanks, Willie. Good to hear from you.
And Coach,
we got a lot of coaches. We got a lot of people.
I'm sorry, Dave. He True Love chimed in. I wanted to kind of transition, talk about the captain, Shane Carden. Obviously, he's going into, I guess, his second year as a head high school coach up in Idaho. So proud of Shane and everything he's doing, both as a high school football coach and also in real estate up there. But he said, I remember when Shane said Coach Ruff told him, when you're winning, they want to write a book. When you're losing, they wonder if you can read one.
Yeah, I've been known for saying some sayings, and I could do that. I can tell you some other things later on, but yeah, that was one to keep your balance. Remember I told you my dad taught me balance, and that was one of them. He taught me balance. Is that winning is great, and keep it here. Winning, losing. If you lose a game or come short, it's only lost if you don't learn from it. So keep that same balance. But the quarterback and the head coach get a lot of credit and a lot of blame. So most of the quarterbacks, I would always tell them, Dominique, all of them, but Shane, he's called captain for a reason. He is a captain. He's captain. And not captain, but captain. CAP, possibly N. I said, just remember this. When you win, they want you to write a book. If you lose, they'll question if you read one. If you can always remember that balance, you'll be okay. So, yep, I did tell Shane that. Shane, he could tell all my little secrets.
Got any more from viewers?
We got some comments. I was trying to.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch.
They were coming in so quickly. Just a few folks saying hello.
Hey, Linda. That's
And
my classmate there.
And
that's one of my frat brothers, fraternity brothers.
So let's see here.
Hey, we'll keep them rolling. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah,
and
rolling. Got that mask on there.
There's so many.
Yeah, a lot of people coming with it. Make sure y'all keep firing away.
Coach, one of the things that I wanted to ask you is Josh Thomas was chiming in earlier. This is actually his question, but sometime down the road, I know right now, like we mentioned early on, you're back at home taking care of your dad. Unfortunately, with everything's going on, you can't get right there with your dad. You've had to do what we're doing right now and talk to him via Zoom and FaceTime and that kind of thing. But down the road, should an opportunity present itself, be it with East Carolina football or the Pirate Club or what have you, would you be willing to potentially entertain an opportunity at East Carolina?
Well, I think one of the things that I'm really conscious of is giving Coach Houston and everybody else a chance for him to acknowledge and get his program underwater. I'll be on the way and get it under get it going, and I'm gonna support the heck out of him. I'm not retired from coaching, that's for sure. I'm gonna answer that question first. I'm not sure what I know I have some offers. I have some right now, but of course my first priority, like you mentioned, is my dad. I've always been hesitant, being a coach, and I love East Carolina. Y'all know that, but I want Coach Houston to be able to begin his program and do the things he needs. And but I'll be supportive of them the whole time, like I am right now tonight.
Absolutely. Coach, we have another question. Yeah.
Crump saying hello.
More people.
There you go.
Coach, when you left there, you got hired by Bronco up at Virginia. Did you have any head coaching opportunities when you were let go?
Yeah, that was the first when everything happened that Friday. Bronco was the first. Well, I tell you, you know what? This Pride Nation needs to know this. The first coaches to reach out were Larry Fedora and Dave Doran.
Oh wow!
The very first. I mean, I'm talking about immediate. As soon as they heard, and and they reacted in different. That's another story, but they were really. They were first two to call, And then Bronco called and offered me a job that day because we had shared knowledge and shared staff while we were in East Carolina. My best friend and Erlene's best friend, Leonie and I, and Robert and I, we were together at Vegas, together at Tech, and so he was on the BYU staff, which we played that last year and lost the last second play, last part of the game. But I knew how Bronco ran his program. Again, ask about coaches. The coach who has influenced me as a coach as much as anyone I mentioned at the same level as my dad and Coach Dye was Bronco Mendenhall.
Wow.
He advanced my knowledge of coaching. As a head coach, you're not involved in so much individual day-to-day individual coaching. It's more of an organizational. As you guys know, y'all run organizations as organizational. And I was a part of every meeting, a part of every decision. But my day was spent on running the program and having a chance to work for Bronco and get back on the field, number one. But I learned a lot about myself as a coach. And I would not have left Bronco. I had other offers when Bronco offered, other head coaching offers. But having a chance to work for Bronco, who I knew, and we had worked together in exchanging staffs while I was in East Carolina. Well, I flew my guys out there. Then I flew his guys back to Greenville to help exchange ideas on defense. And then, of course, at that moment, being around somebody I knew and had a lot of respect for, and around my best friend and Robert and I, and Erlene's best friend, because not just coaches go through it, guys. Your wives and your family goes through it. So Erlene having a chance to be with her, one of her best friends in life, Leonie and I, it was great. And then going to Virginia to help start a program because Bronco was winning. He won 9 games a year at BYU. So taking the job at Virginia was a challenge. He calls it, you can run with the wind or run into the wind. Well, taking that job at Virginia was running into the wind. And I thought this year, what we started building that first year, you saw it come to fruition this past year at Virginia. And you'll see it continue with Bronco, but I enjoyed my time at Virginia. And the only person I mentioned earlier that I would have left for was Lincoln. And Lincoln had some offers while at Oklahoma. I don't know if people know this. Lincoln turned down numerous jobs while he was with us at East Carolina that doubled and tripled and quadrupled his pay, which that's loyalty there. I don't know if fans know that, but while we're talking here tonight, some nuggets that he turned down jobs that people would be, what in the world? I'm talking about from a Golden Dome type school that some other schools that could pay him not just double, but triple and quadruple what we could even think about paying him to stay at East Carolina. But when Oklahoma called, Bob Stoops, we had competed for 10 years against one another. And one of the most classiest coaches ever, he called first to ask permission to ask him about Lincoln and ask permission to talk to Lincoln. And he just did the first class way. And I told Bob, I don't want to lose Lincoln ever, but you need to hire him right now. And he's going to help you win immediately. And Bob thought I was trying to get rid of him. Later on, I found out when I went to Oklahoma, later on, Bob said, I thought you were trying to get rid of him. I said, heck no, I didn't want him to leave. But a chance to go coach with another great guy, Bob Stoops, a winner, Hall of Famer, great tradition, competitor. We had competed for 10 years against one another. That means you know each other pretty good in some battles. And then some not so battles too. But it was a great opportunity for Lincoln and Caitlin. And so that's when he went to Oklahoma. You saw what he's done there with Baker and again, Cowler, their offense. If you take your time, look at his stats, what he's done offensively for them. You saw it happening at East Carolina. If you go back and watch some film from East Carolina and then put on Oklahoma, you'll see some of the things he started there with us at East Carolina. He's advanced it, but he uses skill at Oklahoma.
Coach, very quickly, not to get off on a tangent, but kind of piggybacking off you mentioned Coach Anai. So he was your offensive line coach when you were at Texas Tech back in that 2000 Gallery Furniture Bowl. I know you mentioned that, Ty, and him being at BYU prior to Virginia. That relationship is what led to the Pirates and Cougars playing, right?
It did. It did. And along with the staff exchange, it's like professional enhancement. Everybody, a lot of people do it when you have that relationship among head coaches. Utmost respect for Bronco, how he takes care of business and runs his business and program. Bronco, I like what he was doing defensively. We like these what he was doing. So our staff flew to Brian Mitchell, who was on our staff then, had played at BYU, and then Robert was there. They flew out and studied defense. And then a year later, probably, we flew their staff to Greenville and to continue the educational part. So I'm sure that relationship, and then the relationship between Robert and I, and then BYU trying to find opponents. That year too was a year we traveled the most as a football team, I think, in the country. We flew to Dallas, we flew to Utah, and flew to another long distance trip too as well. So traveled the most, but yeah, that had a lot to do with it. And it was a great competition, great program that Bronco established and ran. Coach DeVille started, and Bronco had a great years, and then having a chance to play him out there was a treat. Hey, little man, what's up in the field?
Hey, Coach, this is future Pirate Alex, my son. He had a question. Ask him. Don't be shy. Say it real quick. We're about to go off the air. Say it real quick. He wants to know what's your favorite sports besides football.
Basketball. No doubt. Yeah.
All right. He wanted to make his cameo tonight.
Basketball is my favorite. Matter of fact, I was getting ready to play basketball, play football. But yeah, that was a great. I love basketball. My dad's a basketball coach and coached me hard. You got to ask me.
Coach, I had a quick question for you. What movies have you been watching lately with all the COVID-19? I know how much you and I love movies. So what movies have you been watching?
Well, you know what? I Just Mercy, Angels Have Fallen. I love that franchise. Bad Boys for Life. Then I watched some series, Boston Legal. Went back and watched 7 years of that. God, I'm an idiot. And then I watched 7 years of Blacklist in a row over a period of time. And then I watched, I love CSI Miami with Horatio Caine. So I watched those 7 years. Now my daughter told me to watch Ozark. So I'm trying to get into Ozark right now, TV wise. But movie wise, it's been Angels Have Fallen. We watched Just Mercy. Went back and watched some old ones. No
Tiger King?
Huh?
No Tiger King? Seems like everybody's watching Tiger King.
My daughter had me watch that. That was a good relief for my brain. That I don't care what that guy's an idiot. Yeah, I watched that. God almighty. Yeah, thank God. So I did watch that. My daughter, who's got a big influence, always said, "Dad, you need to watch it." I go, "Why? Just watch it." And I watched how many shows there were, and I'm going, "Okay, thank you for that brain massage right there." That was a different deal.
What a train wreck.
that was a different deal, So there's some bad things happening in that film. There's some bad things happening with everybody in that film.
No doubt. Coach, thank you so much for your time. I'm looking at it. We're about it right out of time. You're so awesome.
Okay.
We love you. We love you to death. And what's that? The belt pleasers.
He said ask Ruff about the belt pleasers.
What the best intramural basketball team in the history of East Carolina. Belt please. That was the name of our team. We're all from Belt Dorm. The best, not one of the best ever in the history of intramural basketball, East Carolina. We dusted people off. They did not like to play us. It was the entire football team. We were pretty good.
Wow.
Aggressive.
All right, you want to do that real quick?
Hey, look, man. Hey,
He's
boy.
a big fan of you. Yeah.
How you doing? Good. You're a cutie pie.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
He's in first grade.
What? You're gonna be tall.
Yes, yes, sir.
You like this? You like staying at home? Well, I know about running out of time.
Oh, no problem. I just wanted to, James, who chimed in earlier from down in Mississippi, he said he wants to coach one day, and he just would like for you to, in a abbreviated version, talk about that flex bone offense that the academies run, obviously Navy, and just talk about what makes it so challenging.
Hey, Ruff, can you put that 1 second? Can you put that image back on the screen, Bubba? Ruff, that's my buddy James. Do you see his girlfriend Shannon? Can you explain that? How in the world did he outkick his coverage?
He outpunted, outkicked, overthrown, everything with that. Yeah, that's his better 3/4. But the flex bone I mentioned earlier, why I like the Leach offense, and that's as a head coach, I want to run it sometime, add some things that I thought defensively. It gets the ball to everybody on offense. The quarterback, 4 people can have the ball at any time. Quarterback, fullback, and halfbacks can carry the ball and have a threat on the air. It's just like the offense, the air raid offense, except we get the ball to 5 people, 5 receivers every time, eligible receivers. And that's why I love the offense of Mike Leach, because of my time with Coach Dye and facing it for 4 years and trying to defend it from Georgia Southern, the flex ball, because it spreads the ball out and makes you defend the whole field, vertically, horizontally, and with the run game.
All right. Well, Coach, again, thank you so much. I know
Yes, sir.
It's been a huge honor. We've been so excited. And of course, you know, when good things happen and time is flying when you're on with us, because we're looking forward to it. Don't be a stranger. Love to have you back on again.
Same here, man. Y'all take care and keep doing what y'all doing. And thanks for having me on. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks,
all right. Go Pirates.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you, Coach.
Y'all take care. Love you guys. Take care.
Love you too. All right. Thanks, Coach. All right. Bye. Coach Ruffin McNeill, and I know that out of respect to his time, we promised him 7 to 8. So, what a great coach! Any final thoughts, guys?
Just great to have Coach on. It's a shame things ended like they did for Coach Ruff, but things worked out for him. Man, he got on with Bronco there at Virginia, went on to Oklahoma, was part of a lot of success at Oklahoma, won some Big 12 championships, went to the playoffs. Good things happened to good people. Coach Ruff landed on his feet, and now he's back home in Clayton, getting to spend time with his dad, and so just honored to have Coach on. He's one of my favorite people to ever be at East Carolina.
No doubt. I was trying to hook you up there, Kyle, with getting you on the timeout, but I love that boat. That boat. The name of that boat is awesome. Not only for the fact he's a coach, but timeout and timeout button. Yeah, awesome. All right, thank you. And by the way, give a shout out, Bubba, to you for all of your hard work, and a lot of great viewers tonight. A lot of great our friends. There were so many we couldn't mention everybody. So, and thanks to this little man here, future Pirate Alex, for being on with us too. Great. He's been dying all day to ask a question. So appreciate you, bud. Go ahead.
Absolutely. We appreciate everyone tuning in, and you were asking Kyle just kind of what his thoughts were as far as Coach Ruff and everything. My thoughts would be this: when you take a look at the way he was so engaging, so entertaining tonight, that's what made him an excellent recruiter, and why Donnie Kirkpatrick, as a recruiting coordinator, was always talking about why Ruff was the epitome of the perfect closer, and coming in and just sealing the deal when they had the guy on the line.
Yeah, and something else too. How engaging he was. We're nobody. I mean, we do this, but Coach Ruff took the time for us to come on here. Didn't worry about the time, didn't press it. His players would run through a wall from him. That's what made him a good coach. Those kids believed Coach Ruff because he's genuine. And as Coach said, real recognizes real. And that's what made him a good head coach, because those boys would run through a wall for him.
No doubt about it. It's a lot of fun tonight. The time went by fast. I appreciate all the comments, the questions, the viewers tonight. It was like going so fast. Appreciate it very much, and means a lot. Okay, well, thank you, Mike Mully. Mully is Mike Mullis. Mully is awesome, one of our friends of the podcast. And guys, I know Bubba, we've got a couple more things coming up this week, right?
Yeah, we do. On Friday, that's what we'll have trivia. But prior to then, Wednesday night, same time, 7 o'clock, we'll be joined by Ricky Bussell. Ricky Bussell spent 9 years as the head coach at Louisiana with the Raging Cajuns. And prior to that, he was the offensive coordinator for Michael Vick at Virginia Tech. Also coached Jim Druckenmiller, who was a heck of a quarterback for the Hokies back in the early to mid-'90s. Played with the San Francisco 49ers. And so we'll catch up with him. Then we'll also catch up, actually, in addition to those stops I mentioned, Coach Bussell spent 3 years on Ed Emery's staff. I almost forgot to mention that. From 80 to 82, he was a wide receivers coach. And then we'll catch up with some recent Pirates, Worth Gregory, who was a tremendous punter for Coach Ruff, and then also Davis Plowman, who did a heck of a job as a place kicker. Those guys have their own kicking business now, and we'll have them on the second half hour.
Yeah, don't forget about the Liberty Bowl watch parties coming up, Bubba.
That's coming up.
Yeah,
That's right.
Sunday night, May the 3rd at 7 o'clock, we'll be joined by Mark Libiano, Emmanuel McDaniel, who played a decade in the league, and then also some others. Darren Hart, who had the big pick six in that game, and then you never know, we might have some other surprises.
No doubt about it. Well, thank you guys so much for watching tonight. We're thinking about all our friends dealing with COVID-19. There are a lot of small businesses. We're thinking about those of you that have been unemployed, laid off, furloughed. A lot of things happening right now. Our hearts go out to you. We'll keep doing these shows. We love it. And thanks to our friends at StreamYard for their great technology too. Until next time, you've been watching and listening to the Sports Objective Podcast. Good night, everybody. Go Pirates.